Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is a Patek Philippe officer's watch, the 5153G-001, emblematic of Patek's production really since 1989 and the revival of the officer's watch style. The idea here is that you're paying homage to the World War I officers' watches that would have been converted from pocket to wristwatch formats for easier use in the trenches. Of course, this is a luxury watch. It's more refined than that, but it has quite a few elements that call back to its inspiration. We'll go through all of those. Now, the original 5153 in yellow gold came out in 2009. This white gold model came out in 2011. It's 38 millimeters in diameter. It's 9.8 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 46.1 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. I'll throw this on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. The shape of the officer's watch lugs means that this wears a little bit larger than you might think. Still, once the strap is broken in and softened up, this will fit just fine on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters in circumference. Here you can see, even with my wrist compressed by the tight, stiff strap, it's still a good fit. Across the top, which exaggerates the width of any watch, you can see it's still inboard the edge of my wrist, and it's flat enough that it'll fit underneath the cuff. It is a dress watch, after all. The strap, you can see rectangular scale alligator leather in several different sizes. It's a semi-gloss black with a monotone stitch, a sheer cut side lacquered for refinement, calfskin on the bottom. You can see no crimping, no gouging. Patek Philippe factory strap in outstanding condition. You can also see here we have a folding clasp that is white gold, just like the watch, really gray gold. More on that in a moment. We have the Calatrava Cross, the logo of the manufacturer, and then there's a radial spring on the inside that makes this a very snappy and secure friction fit style of clasp. Taking a look, if you look inside the strap, you can see there is no pull tab spring bar here because the officer's watch style is very true to history. Once upon a time, pocket watches reigned, but with the onset of war in 1914, it became necessary to keep both hands free, and oftentimes military garb would not have many convenient pockets in which to stash watches. And so, to be able to hold a gun or reach for your gas mask or operate your instruments without resorting to a pocket watch, you could put a officer's watch on your wrist. The idea being you take a pocket watch, you weld on lugs, you add screwed bars to hold a strap to the case, and what was a pocket watch now becomes a wrist-borne timepiece. And so this use of screws and bars to hold the strap to the lugs is very true to history. So there are no spring bars here. These are non-skeuomorphic. These are genuine screws that physically hold the bars inside the lugs and fix the strap to the case. Of course, we've got an unbranded onion-style crown because that's how it would have been in the pocket watch era. You could see that the form of the case is quite rotund, like a pocket watch, and that it includes a functional hinged hunter caseback, just as a pocket watch would. About gray gold, I mentioned it a moment ago. It is a 18-karat white gold that is considered to be the best kind of white gold. White all the way through, never requiring a rhodium plate. So if it is scratched, it's the same color underneath. You could appreciate that the watch is very true to history in its appearance, although in detail it is a high luxury watch. So we have a fully polished case. We have an almost invisible hinge for the hunter caseback. We have lugs that are still welded onto the case, but this is a different kind of welding. Rather than a down and dirty quickie to get lugs on a pocket watch, this is done artisanally, inserting the lug into a slot in the flank of the case, welding them together, and then using a file to remove the gathered metal from the weld. We have a dial with a lovely rayon, guilloche center, and then you can see that we have a matte finish outboard in black with a beaded track for the seconds and minutes with dart-style faceted white gold hour indices. We have white gold hands, date frame, and indices, so they'll never tarnish or oxidize. You can see the hands at center are Dauphine style, fluted down their center, I should say creased down their center to increase their contrast against the dial base. We have a polished chapter ring surrounding the inner dial, and then a cut evacuation around the Patek Philippe logo, and you can see the name and the city of origin vaulted or rounded across the top as they would have been on a old pocket watch. Although a date would not have featured on a pocket watch, it is considered to be de rigueur for modern all-around watches, and this is an all-arounder, dress-oriented, but still something you'd wear full-time. It's not frilly. You wouldn't worry about wearing this with short sleeves. And so we have a little black date disc with white on black to make it as unobtrusive as possible. Now, there is no hacking function here on this generation of Patek automatic, but a little bit of back pressure will stop the seconds hand, so if you wish to synchronize to a reference time, you can always resort to that trick. Also, we do have a quick set for the date, so you can rapidly set the date and make corrections if you need to. Rolling around to the back, you can see that it is a full solid caseback, so you get all of that precious metal, and given what gold is worth these days, I think you'd appreciate having an extra ounce of gold on the back of your watch rather than a $30 sapphire. But you get both. Why choose? You have the Hunter caseback, and you can see indeed it is mirrored inside, and then we have caliber 324 SC. Unidirectional automatic winding with ceramic ball bearings, those two features making for a very efficient winding. It's got a 45-hour power reserve, a 4 Hz beat rate, 29 pivot jewels. It's adjusted in 6 positions. It has a free-sprung Gyromax style balance for shock resistance and precise adjustment, and it has a silicon anti-magnetic Spiromax hairspring. It has the quick set, though it does not hack, and you can see the Patek Philippe seal blazon on the train bridge adjacent to the balance. And this watch from the factory would have been rated no worse than -3 plus 2 seconds per 24 hours. Finish, as is common in this price segment, is a combination of mechanical and manual finish, but whereas Audemars Piguet does a bad job of selling the manual aspect of the decoration, Patek Philippe goes much deeper into that with a convincing execution, particularly where bevels are concerned, screw heads are concerned, and then we have the polishing of the locating pegs for the balance cock 1, 2, 3. Those are rounded and polished on their tops. You could also see that the screw and jewel sinks here have also been internally beveled with stripes across the bridges, linear, circular on the rotor, snailing on the edge of the rotor. We've got engine turning on the center of the rotor, on the click wheel, as well as on the base plate in several different sizes. Altogether, it is a very good-looking 45-hour power reserve automatic winding 4 Hz movement. So reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. I should add, although a classical pocket watch-based officer's watch would have no water resistance, this one has 30 meters, which is standard for a dress watch and sufficient for splashes and rain exposure. Again, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.